Okay, get this. Picture this.
Yeah.
1977.
Okay.
You wake up in the middle of the night.
Mm-hmm.
Someone's pounding on your door.
Oh, gosh.
You open the door, and it's your husband.
Yeah.
He's a mess, like totally freaked out.
Oh, no.
Can't talk,
Right.
but he's got these broken plastic handcuffs on his wrists and ankles.
Wow.
He manages to scribble a note, says he was drugged
Oh, my goodness.
with something that could make him go insane
No.
or even kill him.
Gosh.
And calling the police would put the whole family in danger.
Wow. That's scary.
Yeah, it's straight out of a movie, right?
Yeah.
But this really happened.
Really?
This was the nightmare for a woman named Ruth Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Her husband, Charles, they called him Chuck Morgan.
Okay.
Successful businessman, family man,
Right.
upstanding guy in the community, suddenly caught up in this
Yeah.
web of secrets and fear, ended terribly for him.
It's amazing how these cases,
Yeah.
what's so fascinating is how you go from this like normal, ordinary life, this businessman in Tucson
Yeah.
to like organized crime,
Right.
government conspiracies.
Exactly.
Okay.
So that's what we're gonna
Okay.
dive into today.
Cool.
This strange kidnapping,
Right.
the evidence around his death,
Okay.
all those questions. Nobody's figured it out.
Yeah.
Was he a victim of like getting in over his head,
Right.
or was he silenced for something he knew?
Yeah. That's the big question.
By the end, you'll have all the pieces.
Oh, that's
inside
good. So,
So where do we start?
let's set the stage. Like you said,
Okay.
March 22nd, 1977.
Great.
Normal day for Chuck Morgan.
Mm-hmm.
Takes his daughters to school, goes to work, escrow office,
Okay.
gone.
Poof.
Yeah.
Yeah.
3 days. Ruth has no idea
Oh, that's awful.
where he is, who took him, if he's even alive.
My
I
God.
can't imagine.
I know.
Then, middle of the night, March 25th,
Okay.
Chuck comes stumbling back home.
Just like we described, totally traumatized.
Right.
Can't speak. Those broken handcuffs.
Yeah.
Proof of what he went through. That note he wrote to Ruth about the drug.
Yeah, the drug.
Like something out of a spy
It's
movie
intense, yeah.
involving the authorities would endanger his family.
Right.
It gets more complicated.
Yeah.
This whole treasury identification thing comes up.
Oh,
Working for some secret government agency.
no way.
It's like this average guy had this whole other life.
That's so strange.
Makes you wonder, was this connected to his disappearance?
Yeah, like was he in something deep? Something bigger than anyone knew?
Yeah, because things don't go back to normal for him.
Right.
Like he's a changed man, withdrawn,
Yeah.
paranoid, starts taking all these precautions.
So cautions.
Yeah, for himself and his family.
Like what?
Carrying multiple guns, wearing a bulletproof vest,
Whoa.
installs a police scanner in his car.
He was scared of something.
Yeah, like he was living in a constant state of fear.
Yeah.
Like someone was after him.
Mm-hmm.
And he'd make these vague comments about dangerous people.
Like who?
The mafia,
Really?
land fraud.
Wow.
Said he had information that could be damaging to powerful people.
Mm-hmm.
But were his fears legitimate?
Yeah, were they real or was it like from the trauma?
Right.
Or maybe a side effect of the drug, you know?
Yeah, maybe.
But understand that. We need to look at Tucson back then.
Because Tucson in the 60s and 70s,
Yeah.
not what you'd think.
What do you mean?
Hotbed of organized crime.
Really?
Yeah, like big time.
Wow.
Joe Bonanno, big mafia guy from New York.
I've heard that name.
He moved to Arizona, Phoenix area.
Okay.
But his influence, it spread everywhere.
Oh, wow.
Tucson became this hub,
Server.
drug smuggling,
Wow.
money laundering, all sorts of illegal stuff.
So Chuck's job as an escrow agent put him right in the middle of that.
Whether he wanted to be or not.
Right in the middle of it.
Escrow agents.
Ye-
They handle these big real estate deals, blind trusts.
Right.
They can easily get pulled into these criminal schemes.
Oh, I see.
Pressured, threatened, you name it.
Wow. So Chuck might have stumbled into something dangerous.
It's possible. Yeah.
Made him a target.
Yeah.
And there were those rumors, right?
Yeah. Linking him to the Bonanno family, other criminals.
Right.
Just rumors, though.
Yeah, no proof, but
But it adds to the mystery.
definitely.
Like peeling back the layers of an onion, right?
Yeah, each layer gets more interesting.
But before we get too deep into those rumors,
Okay.
we need to go back to June 7th, 1977.
That's when he disappeared again, right?
His second disappearance.
Right.
And this time, it was a lot worse than the first.
Worse how?
This one ended with a discovery.
A discovery.
Yeah, that shocked everyone in Tucson
Wow.
and left investigators with more questions than answers.
Okay, I'm hooked.
So let's get into it.
Let's do it. This time, Ruth knew right away something was wrong. I mean, she remembered how Chuck came back before, scared and warning about danger.
Right.
She didn't wait around.
So she went straight to the police.
Yeah, right away.
It's just awful going through that again, knowing he could be in real danger.
And then, as the police started looking into it, they got this creepy phone call.
Really?
Yeah, from a woman.
Okay.
She said her name was Green Eyes.
Green Eyes.
That's all she said.
What'd she say?
She said, Chuck is all right.
Chuck is all right. Okay.
Then she quoted a Bible verse.
Oh, wow.
Ecclesiastes 12.1-8.
Not familiar with that one.
It's about getting old, death, facing judgment.
Pretty ominous, considering he's missing.
Yeah, gives you chills, right?
For sure. Who is this Green Eyes?
Right.
What was she trying to say with that verse?
Yeah, was it a threat?
Or maybe like a weird reassurance.
Maybe, who knows?
And then 2 days after that phone call,
okay.
Chuck's body is found.
Oh, no.
Out in the desert.
Oh, gosh.
Just outside of Tucson. But the scene, it just raised more questions.
Really? Like what?
He had a gunshot wound to the back of his head.
Oh, wow. But no signs of a struggle, right?
No, and his car was right there.
Okay.
Nothing seemed out of place.
So maybe it was staged to look like a suicide, to cover something up?
Exactly. But there were these weird things that didn't add up.
What do you mean?
The gun was near his left hand.
Okay.
It was his gun, a .357 Magnum, and they found gunpowder residue on that hand.
Left hand?
Yeah, his left hand, but everyone said Chuck was right-handed.
So he couldn't have shot himself.
Right, like I'm no expert, but
yeah.
How do you even shoot yourself with your non-dominant hand?
The sheriff's department said maybe he used his thumb.
His thumb.
To pull the trigger.
I don't know about that.
It doesn't really make sense.
Right, and then there's this other weird thing.
What's that?
They found a piece of his tooth.
A piece of his tooth?
Yeah, wrapped in a handkerchief.
Where?
In his car.
In his car?
Huh. Like, where'd that come from?
Yeah, was he in a fight?
Maybe, or was it like a message?
Oh, that's creepy.
Right.
Those are the things the investigators couldn't figure out.
It's like a puzzle with missing pieces.
Exactly.
But the weirdest part of this whole thing, they found a $2 bill pinned to Chuck's underwear.
A $2 bill on his underwear?
Yeah, it gets stranger.
I can only imagine.
It wasn't the bill itself.
So what was it?
It was covered in notes, handwritten notes.
Notes about what?
Spanish names.
Okay.
Numbers, like the ones for the signers of the Declaration of Independence.
What?
And there was this rough map that seemed to lead to a smuggling area.
So it was like a code.
Yeah, almost like something out of a Dan Brown novel.
Right.
Too elaborate for a suicide, don't you think?
It does make you wonder.
That's what everyone's been debating for years.
Whether it was staged.
Right.
Or if Chuck did all this himself because he was so paranoid.
It's hard to imagine.
So let's look at those theories.
Okay, yeah.
Starting with suicide.
What made the police think that?
Well, there was no sign of a struggle at the scene. His body was found out in the open.
Right.
His car was nearby. His stuff was all there.
So they thought it was unlikely he was taken there.
Yeah, against his will.
But couldn't a killer make it look like a suicide?
Oh, absolutely.
To avoid getting caught?
Yeah, but the police said if Chuck was killed because of something illegal,
like the land deals or money laundering?
Right, then the killer would have probably taken any evidence from his car.
Like his notes, his records.
Exactly.
Okay, that makes sense.
But then there's the gunshot residue.
On his left hand.
Yeah, and the piece of tooth.
Right. That doesn't really fit with suicide.
Exactly. Those things don't add up.
It makes it seem like something more complicated happened.
Way more complicated.
And what about those calls from Green Eyes?
Yeah, those add another layer to this.
And that Bible verse she quoted.
It's all very strange.
Who was she?
And what did she know about Chuck's disappearance?
Right. She said he wasn't missing, he was in hiding.
She even claimed Chuck showed her a briefcase full of cash.
A briefcase full of cash?
Yeah, he said it would buy him out of a mob contract.
Like a hit?
Yeah, a hit on his life.
That's crazy.
It is, but the briefcase, they found it in his car.
So was there money in it?
That's empty.
So maybe he gave it to someone for protection.
Or maybe Green Eyes made it all up.
To throw everyone off?
Maybe.
And then she mentions gold dealings.
Right, and that matches up with some of the evidence.
His notes about gold and land transactions?
Yeah, it seems to back up what Green Eyes was saying.
And her husband too, right? About Chuck buying gold in Mexico.
Mm-hmm. It all seems to fit together.
And let's not forget about that investigation from 1973.
By the U.S. Customs Service.
They thought Chuck and some others were running a scam.
A gold scam.
Yeah. with fake gold.
It's hard to believe that wouldn't be connected somehow.
So maybe it wasn't suicide after all.
If Chuck was killed,
Right.
what he knew about these dealings could have made him a target.
He knew too much.
Possibly.
So if it wasn't suicide, what else could it have been?
Well, the other big possibility is murder.
Murder. Okay.
There are a few different scenarios for that.
Let's hear them.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got mob hit, government cover-up, or maybe both.
Yeah,
My brain is doing backflips trying to keep up.
it's a lot.
Is there anything else we should be thinking about?
There are a couple of things.
Right.
They might not be full-blown theories,
Right.
but they add to the weirdness.
Like what?
Well, one idea is that Chuck planned his own disappearance.
Wait, so he wasn't kidnapped at all?
Maybe not the first time.
He just took off.
Went into hiding.
But why would he do that?
A couple of reasons. Maybe,
Okay.
remember he was having money problems?
Yeah.
Maybe he was trying to get away from creditors, you know?
Buy himself some time.
Exactly.
Or he really thought his family was in danger,
That's possible.
and going into hiding was the only way to keep them safe.
Like a DIY witness protection program.
Yeah, sort of.
And remember, that first time he'd disappear,
Yeah.
he used his real name at the motel. People saw him around town.
So he wanted people to think he was still out there.
Maybe while he was hiding, figuring things out.
But that doesn't explain the gunshot, the clues, or green eyes.
You're right about that.
So it doesn't explain everything.
It's more like a piece of the puzzle, not the whole picture.
Okay, what's the other thing?
This one's even more out there, but
Yeah.
it involves a guy named Doug Johnston,
Doug Johnston.
computer technician, found dead in his car a few years after Chuck.
Right, that was a suspected suicide, wasn't it?
Yeah, but there were always questions about it.
I remember.
Don Devo, the journalist who was really into Chuck's case,
Yeah.
he thought Johnston was killed by mistake.
Wait, what?
Like someone was trying to kill Chuck but got the wrong guy.
Wow. Crazy, right?
So Devo thought someone was trying to stop him from investigating.
Yeah, to keep him
Yeah.
quiet, but they mixed up Johnston and Chuck. That's a big accusation.
It is.
Was there any evidence to back that up?
Not really. No connection between the two men.
So Johnston wasn't even involved in the investigation.
As far as we know, no.
So it was just Devo's hunch?
Pretty much. He thought he was being targeted.
That's intense.
Yeah, but without proof, it's hard to say.
Another dead end.
Unfortunate.
Every time we think we're getting close, the trail goes cold.
That's the thing about this case.
Mhm.
So many threads, so many leads,
Yeah.
but they never quite connect.
We get these little glimpses into this hidden world,
Right.
but the full picture is always just out of reach.
It's like Chuck's life became those notes on the $2 bill.
Random details that might mean something.
But we don't have the key to unlock the code.
It's what makes it so fascinating, but so frustrating too.
Yeah, the idea that even normal people can get tangled up in these crazy secrets.
And sometimes the truth is just too dangerous to find.
It makes you think.
So where does that leave us?
I think the Charles Morgan case shows us how complicated the world really is. It makes us think critically, question things, and see different sides.
Right, like there's not always a simple answer.
Exactly.
It also reminds us that some mysteries never get solved.
And that's okay.
Yeah, the not knowing is part of what makes it so interesting.
The allure of the unknown.
Exactly.
And the questions that linger long after the story is over.
Chuck's life, it wasn't just a story.
No, it was real.
Real people, real danger.
And real consequences.
It makes you realize that truth can be hard to find.
Especially when powerful people want to keep it hidden.
And sometimes, the most interesting mysteries aren't in the movies,
They're right here, in real life.
like with Chuck Morgan.
So what do you think happened?
That's the question, right?
Was it suicide, a mob hit, the government, something else?
What do you think, listeners?
Let's hear your theories.
Keep the conversation going.
You never know, maybe someone out there has a piece of the puzzle.
That's it for our deep dive into the mysterious death of Charles Morgan.
Thanks for listening.
Make sure you subscribe to the deep dive.
So you don't miss our next episode.
We'll be tackling another fascinating mystery.
Until then, stay curious.